Hi guys, and welcome to Escape with Watch Reviews. My name is Steve, and today we're going to be reviewing the Wishdoit reference number 9987. I received this watch for free. I don't have to send the watch back, but you guys know the deal by now. No matter how I get a watch in for review on this channel, whether it be free or paid for, you are going to get my honest opinion every single time. And if by the end of this review you do want to pick one of these up, I'll be leaving a link down in the video description. That is an affiliate link, so if you use that link, you're not paying any extra. It just helps the channel earn a little bit of commission and helps keep things running, so it's a nice, free, easy way for you guys to support the channel. So I really do appreciate the continued support. The watch retails for right around $60 US. That's before any taxes, customs, VAT, or discounts. The watch comes in 6 different colorways that you can see here, and I actually think they all look pretty darn good. The watch case is made of 316L stainless steel. It has a sapphire crystal, screw-down crown, screw-down caseback, ceramic bezel insert, Swiss BGW9 lume on the dial and the hands, and the watch is powered by the Seiko NH35 automatic movement. So if you are unaware, Wishdoit or Wishdoit, I'm just going to say Wishdoit, they're a newer brand on AliExpress. Their other watches are very flashy, like Richard Mille homages. This one is their most tame design, but definitely pulling design cues from Zodiac for sure. And at $60 US, you're going to be hard pressed to find a better value on paper than this watch. It has pretty much everything: sapphire, ceramic, screw-down crowns, water resistant, solid bracelet, adjustable clasp. It just has everything. But how is it in the metal? That's usually the story. That's where things start to fall apart a little bit. So that's what I'm here to tell you about. I say we get right into the full review. But before we do, a quick wrist check today, wearing the Watch Dives 1862. This is not their newer model. But yeah, still really liking this watch. All right, let's check out the dimensions. 39.9 millimeters at the bezel, 12.2 millimeters thick, 20 millimeter lug width, 47.8 lug tip to lug tip, a total length with those end links, 53.6 millimeters, and sized up for my 7.5 inch wrist with 3 links removed. It weighs 141 grams. So I've definitely had this case before. This is the same case as the Rolls Timmy RT7910, so they're borrowing some parts, which is fine, and especially in this case because I do like the size of the case. It's pretty much perfect. A little bit long on the lugs, but I think it wears great on me. The overall length is going to be a deal breaker for a lot of people though. But nice and thin, 12.2 millimeters thick for an NH35 is very nice. You can see the mid case here is nice and slim looking. So yeah, I do like the way that this watch wears. It doesn't have a huge crown or anything like that. So yeah, it's a very comfortable watch, and I think it's a good size too. So I'm going to go outside right now and throw it on my wrist for you. And here we are on my 7.5 inch wrist, and as you can see, I think it wears good. You got nice turn down to the lugs there. It hugs the wrist nicely. There's no, big crown isn't sticking into the wrist or anything like that. The bracelet feels pretty balanced as well. Not my favorite bracelet, but we'll talk about that later. But I just like the way the watch looks. It could use a little bit more AR coating on the crystal because I don't think there's much, if any, on there already. But lots of light play off of that bezel. And here we are in some direct sunlight there. You can see the dial does get a little bit washed out. There's, like I said, not much, if any, AR coating on this crystal. But it's flat, so it doesn't matter too much. Legibility is actually pretty darn good on it. And yeah, I think the finishing actually looks pretty good. But I think we can do a little bit better. Let's go throw it on some straps and let's get back to the review. Well, that is already much better. So this is a cut to size FKM in kind of a mint green color. Matches almost perfectly to that dial. I'll be leaving the link for this down below. It's in the pastel section, I guess, of the cut to size FKMs. Really, really comfortable, and I think that looks awesome. And here we are on a sailcloth style strap from AliExpress. I'll leave the link down for this one as well. It's a good strap. I think it actually looks pretty good on this. The straps are going to be a little tough just because of the colorway on this watch, but it's hard to go wrong with a black strap. And lastly, here we are on a Cincy Strapco SF2. This is a nylon strap with 2 layers underneath the watch there. And you can still see that it wears nice and low and doesn't feel top heavy or anything. So yeah, really, really nice combo. I think the gray works pretty well with this dial. Yeah, I think it's a nice setup. What do you guys think? All right, let's go back inside and let's get back to this review. All right, so let's talk about the case finishing. So case finishing is exactly the same as the Rolls Timmy, and again, it's nicely done. You have a kind of a circular or angular brushing on the tops of the lugs there, looking really good. Flipping it to the crown side here, you got a nice screw down crown with the Wishdoit logo there, and it actually lines up pretty darn spot on. It is 6.4 millimeters in diameter, nice and grippy, pretty short. So, it's a really nice crown. I got no issues with it. We'll talk about it here in a little bit. You can see the case nicely done, horizontal brushing on the sides here. And you can see the lugs, there's kind of an abrupt change right here. So it's just a little bit interesting. Usually they try and really smooth that out, but here there's almost like a little crease that you can see there, but just nicely done on the case finishing. Even the chamfers are very nicely polished, and the transitions between the surfaces, even getting up this close, they look pretty darn crisp to me. So I am really happy with the case finishing on this watch. This bottom edge here is not overly sharp either, so again, it just wears nice and comfortable on the wrist. Flipping it to the case back here, we have a screw down case back. It's a coin edge style one. You got a little bit of a spec sheet around the outside there, and then you've got this pretty nice sailing logo, which is etched in there very nicely. It's nice and smooth. I've got no complaints with the case back on this, other than the fact that they're using the coin edge. I wish they would use, just simple notches would make this a lot better. But as far as the execution, I can't fault them at all. It's very nicely done. The case on this watch is very nicely done. All right, time to talk about the bezel. So the bezel insert is a ceramic bezel insert. All the markings you see here is BGW9 Lume, so nicely filled in with Lume. You can see the engraving, the etching, whatever you want to call it. It's very nice, very crisp. They have these triangles here. I'm not really sure what those triangles are for. It looks like they're every like 4 minutes. I just don't know what they're there for. The bezel looks pretty good. It's a very minimal bezel, only has the 30 down there at the 6 o'clock position, and then simple markings everywhere else. But again, the bezel insert is nicely done and nicely lumed, which we'll talk about here in just a little bit. The bezel itself, stainless steel. You can see there, it's fully brushed. The engraving for the grip is very nicely done. Maybe a little bit sharp. It just doesn't feel super refined, but there's plenty of grip on this bezel. The bezel action is actually pretty good too. It's a 120 click unidirectional bezel. It's a little light, but really not that bad. And just listen to these clicks. So a really loud kind of popping sound. It's a super smooth bezel. You don't really feel the notches too much. You can definitely feel them, but they're just very smooth, and it's a very audible bezel. It's actually really darn good. The alignment on it is not the best though. You can see here I'm a little off on that click, and just a little off on that click there too. So the alignment is not the best, sadly. But the bezel itself, the bezel action, is actually pretty good. It's just a matter of luck of the draw, whether you get one that lines up nice or not. So I just did a full rotation there, and now you can see it actually lines up pretty darn good. So interesting little problem, but it is actually aligned okay in this case. So if it doesn't line up for you in the first place, give it another twirl, and hopefully it'll line up better for you. The play in the bezel, there's very little, very little. I'm not seeing this thing move at all. So I think the bezel on this watch is actually one of the highlights of it. All right, let's get to the crystal. It is sapphire. So we have a flat piece of sapphire crystal. I don't think there's any AR coating on it. I don't see any. There's no blue tint to it, so it's definitely, if it is there, it's clear, but I don't think that it has any AR coating, and that's fine. It's a flat crystal, and I don't really think it needs AR coating, but having some on there would have just been a nice bonus. All right, getting in close, we'll talk about the dial on the watch. So I have the white dial with the kind of light green or mint green. I can't remember what they call it, but it's actually really nicely done. It's kind of a silvery white color. It's definitely more white than silver. It looks really good. I've got no complaints with the coloring. I like the green too, the color match between the minute track there and the minute hand. Very nicely done. The hands, they're a little bit short. I'd like to see them reach out just a little bit longer. I think the hour hand is fine, but the minute hand could be a little bit longer. You can see the second hand sweeping around there. It has a loomed little paddle on it. I think it looks great. The indices, they are applied at all the hour markers except for 3 o'clock, which has a printed date frame on it. The date is nicely centered there. And then you have automatic 150 meters down here at the 6 o'clock, and then the Wishdoit logo at the 12 o'clock. The printing on it looks good. I like the color of the minute track. I think they kind of nailed it on this one. The only thing that I would like to see them change is the indices. They're applied and they are just polished. They're polished silver. On these lighter color dials, I think it would look a lot better if they were black to match the handset. That's pretty much my only complaint about the dial. I think it actually looks pretty darn good. Everything is aligned nicely. And even the Lume is good on the watch. So I'm going to pop up a Lume shot, and here you can see it against a couple other watches in the collection. And it is that Swiss, BGW9. It's that ice blue glow. I was kind of expecting this to have pretty poor Lume, but yeah, the fact that they're using actual, or very equivalent of the Swiss BGW9, I'm really happy with that. So the Lume on the watch is actually pretty darn good, and for $60, you can't ask for more. All right, so let's talk about the movement and the crown. So the movement inside is the Seiko NH35, 21,600 beats per hour, so 6 ticks of the second hand every second. It hacks, hand winds, has a bidirectional winding rotor. These movements are excellent. Yeah, they're great, especially at this price point. This is about as low as you're going to see an NH35 watch for. So yeah, the fact that they're using an automatic movement is excellent. Here's how this one has been running. I haven't had this one on the time grapher. I'll put it on the time grapher and pop it up here for you so you can see what it's running like. It seems to be running fine for me though. So yeah, the NH35, they are workhorse movements, and they are, the most you could ask for at this price point. So really happy with the movement in the watch. The crown, again, nicely signed crown with the Wishdoit logo there. Good grip on the crown too. Screw in and screw out action has been nothing but flawless. The hand winding feels good. Pulling it out to the first position changes your date here, and everything seems centered nicely there. Pulling it out to the third position, get a nice solid feeling crown. Hacks the movement there. This is where you set your time. The alignment, let's check that. Looks very spot on. So yeah, really happy with the movement in this watch. It seems to be performing well, and the crown action on it, even fully out here, nice and sturdy. And then the screw in and screw out action has been just really nice and smooth. So very happy with the crown, very happy with the movement. All right, so let's talk about the bracelet, and the bracelet is the low point of this watch. It's 20 millimeters, tapers down to 16 millimeters. It is 3 solid links, solid end links, and male pivot end links, so they stick way out. The end link fitment, there's some wobble in it. The end links, they don't really conform to the shape of the watch there, so you can tell that this wasn't made for this watch. It just so happens to fit it okay. But yeah, there's some wobble in there. The bracelet is not good. It's just not good. Lots of slop in the links. The fluidity is fine and the comfort is fine. This bottom edge has been nicely rounded off. Split pins for sizing. I removed 3 links for my 7.5 inch wrist, and there's still 1, 2, looks like 2 more links to go. So yeah, it should fit down to about a 6.5 inch wrist. Here's the clasp here. It does have the Wishdoit logo. We've seen this clasp before. It's a Rolex style of clasp. Polished on the sides, brushed on the top. There's no real sharp edges on it, which I found a little bit surprising. Usually these ones are pretty sharp. Fully polished on the inside. Again, signed there with the Wishdoit logo. Decent tolerances here. No issues opening and closing it. It functions fine every single time. There's no like sweaty day extension, but you do have some hidden micro adjustments in here. So there's a little bit of adjustment in the clasp as well. It's an okay clasp. The bracelet itself is just not good. It feels very light, very hollow, and definitely rattly. It's definitely the low point where they saved all of their money on this watch. So there you go, guys. That is the Wishdoit reference 9987. It's the same case as that Rolls Timmy that I had, which I really liked. I think the bezel action is good. The crystal is fine. The dial is really cool. This one's got good lume on it as well. So I'm happy with the case itself. The bracelet is where they cut all the corners and cut all the costs. Plan on ditching this and throwing it on a strap immediately. If you do that, I think you're actually going to be pretty happy with this. And for $50 or $60, how could you not be? So yeah, I think that's it for me. Thanks a lot for watching, guys, and I will see you in the next one. See ya.